22 young athletes, coaches and officials who died in a ghastly auto crash while returning from the just concluded National Sport Festival in Ogun State. Governor Abba Yusuf, who is currently in Saudi Arabia for the 2025 Hajj, described the accident as a dark moment for the state, saying it claimed the lives of some Kanu's most promising youth. In a statement signed by its spokesperson Sanusi Tufa, the governor expressed deep sorrow and extended his condolences to the bereaved families and the entire sports community. The statement added that the victims were part of Kanu's official delegation to the National Sport Festival and included athletes, coaches, and other state officials. The accident occurred along the Kanu-Zaria Expressway. Yusuf called on the public to remain calm and united during this difficult time, assuring them that the government will provide all necessary support to the families of the deceased and the injured survivors. To honor their moments and memories, the governor directed that Monday be observed as a public holiday, encouraging residents across the state to use the day to reflect, pray, and support the grieving families. At the Gateway Games in Abeokuta, Kano State finished 13th on the medals table with 29 medals, including 6 gold. The suspended senator representing Kogi Central Senatorial District of Kogi State, Natasha, will appear in court on Tuesday as summoned. This was confirmed by her counsel, West Idahosa San. Idahosa, however, expressed uncertainty about whether the federal government plans to arraign her on Tuesday. He said that whatever the plans of the federal government, Akpotiuduaghan, as a law-abiding citizen, would comply with the court's directive. The federal government, through the Director of Public Prosecutions, Mohammed Abubakar, filed criminal charges against Akpotiuduaghan, alleging that she made defamatory statements during a live television broadcast and a private telephone conversation. These statements reportedly targeted the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello. According to the charge filed on May 16, 2025, at the Federal Capital Territory High Court, Akpotiuduaghan is accused of making a statement during an appearance on TV on April 3, 2025, where she alleged that Akpabio and Bello discussed plans to assassinate her. Additionally, the government accused Akpotiuduaghan of making defamatory remarks on a telephone conversation on March 27, 2025. In a conversation with a woman named Dr. Sandra Duro, Akpotiuduaghan allegedly claimed that Akpabio was linked to organ harvesting involving the late Inobong Umorim, purportedly for the benefit of his ailing wife. Akpabio, Bello, and 4 others have been listed as key witnesses in the trial. A human rights lawyer and senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, has accused African leaders who make up the authority of heads of state and government at the Economic Community of West African State, ECOWAS, of failing to promote the rule of law. Falana also accused them of treating the decision of the Community Court of Justice, ECOWAS Court, with disdain. The lawyer, in a statement titled "Disobedience of ECOWAS Court," said that the record of the court showed that 154 judgments had not been enforced by member states of the ECOWAS as of December 2024. According to him, Nigeria has the highest with 44 judgments, followed by Togo and Guinea, which have 27 and 15 respectively. Others are Mali with 10, Sierra Leone with 9, Niger with 8, Cote d'Ivoire with 8, Senegal 8, Ghana 6, Benin 5, the Gambia 3, Liberia 4, Burkina Faso 5, Cape Verde 1, and Guinea-Bissau 1. Falana said, quote, "In calling the ECOWAS leaders to comply with the judgment of the ECOWAS court, we are compelled to remind the ECOWAS leaders that some of their predecessors who did not comply with the visions and decisions of the court have approached the same court for the protection of their human rights after they had left office." End of quote. The son, who is also a former president of the West African Bar Association, said that under Article 24 of the ECOWAS Court, each member state is required to designate a competent national authority to handle the receipt and processing of the execution of the court's judgment. He therefore called on President Bola Tinubu to direct the Attorney General and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi-San to ensure that Nigeria complies with the decision of the court without any further delay to end what he described as the unwarranted embarrassment. Nigeria's Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, says increased manpower will boost the efforts to curb oil theft in the country's maritime space. The naval chief stated this on Monday as a guest on a TV show as part of events lined up for the celebrations of the 69th anniversary of the Nigerian Navy. Vice Admiral Ogala said the entire personnel of the Nigerian Navy of over 30,000 is insufficient to man Nigeria's coastal maritime area, which is 1/3 of the nation's land mass. He quickly added that the naval authorities have increased their annual enlistment of fresh minds to fill the vacuum. Vice Admiral Ogala said that the Nigerian Navy was not where it used to be, saying that it has become a continental force and a global reference. The naval chief said the Nigerian Navy started with a very few boats given to us by the Royal Navy, but as you can see today, we are 1/3 of largest in Africa, and our goal is to become the largest navy in Africa that can contribute effectively to global force projection. And of course, he said that Nigeria has recorded a drastic reduction in the activities of oil theft in the last couple of years. The naval chief noted that curbing oil theft demands a collective approach among the security agencies, including the Nigerian Navy, the Nigerian Army, and the Nigerian Air Force, as well as communities around the coastal areas. Ogala also said that aside from kinetic assurances and measures, oil theft must also be tackled through non-kinetic means, including unemployment, illiteracy, among others. He added that some of the ships used by oil thieves are not owned by Nigerians, hence it makes prosecution difficult. He reiterated the need for the establishment of special court for the swift prosecution of suspects. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency NEMET has predicted thunderstorms and rains from Monday to Wednesday across the country. NEMET weather outlook released in Abuja envisaged morning thunderstorms on Monday with rains over parts of Taraba, Kaduna, Gombe, Bauchi, Kebbi, Sokoto, Katsina, Jigawa, and Kano states in the northern region. According to the agency, there are prospects of thunderstorms with rain over parts of Taraba, Kaduna, Sokoto, Borno, Kebbi, and Zamfara states later in the day. He said in the northern central region, morning thunderstorms with rains are anticipated over part of the Federal Capital Territory, Niger, and Nasarawa state. In the afternoon and evening hours, thunderstorms with rains are expected over parts of Plateau, the Federal Capital Territory, Nasarawa, Kwara, Niger, Kogi, and Benue State. In the southern region, cloudy atmosphere is expected with prospect of morning rain over parts of Ondo, Ogun, Edo, Ebonyi, Abia, Cross River, Rivers, and Akwa Ibom. The agency anticipated rain showers over parts of Oyo, Ekiti, Ogun, Osun, Ondo, Lagos, Edo, Abia, Imo, Ebonyi, Enugu, Anambra, Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Delta, and Bayelsa later in the day. For Tuesday, in the northern region, morning thunderstorms with rains are expected over the parts of Kano, Zamfara, Katsina, Bauchi, Gombe, Adamawa, Borno, Yobe, and Taraba. In the afternoon or evening hours, thunderstorms with rain are anticipated over parts of Taraba, Kebbi, Borno, Gombe, Adamawa, Kaduna, Bauchi, and Katsina State. And in the north central region, thunderstorms with rain are over parts of the Federal Capital Territory, Niger, Nasarawa State during the morning period. The agency envisaged thunderstorms with rain over parts of the Federal Capital Territory, Nasarawa, Kogi, Niger, Kwara, and Plateau later in the day. The agency anticipated rain over parts of Oyo, Ekiti, Osun, Ogun, Lagos, Edo, Anambra, Abia, Enugu, Imo, Ebonyi, Cross River, Rivers, Delta, and Bayelsa later in the day. NEMET predicted morning thunderstorms on Wednesday with rains over parts of Zamfara, Adamawa, Kaduna, Sokoto, Kebbi, and Zamfara in the northern region during afternoon or evening hours. It envisaged thunderstorms with rains over Taraba, Kaduna, Katsina, Bauchi, Zamfara, Sokoto, and Adamawa. In the north-central region, thunderstorms with rains are expected over parts of the Federal Capital Territory, Nasarawa, Niger, and Benue during the morning hours. Later in the day, thunderstorms will rain with rains are anticipated over parts of Nasarawa, Plateau, the Federal Capital Territory, Kwara, Kogi, and Niger. In the southern region, morning rains are anticipated over parts of Ogun, Ondo, Oyo, Edo, Enugu, Ebonyi, Cross River, Rivers, and Akwa Ibom State. According to NIMET, strong winds may precede the rains in areas where thunderstorms are likely to occur. Public should take adequate precautions. Nearly 2 years after the demolition of the Police Officers' Wives Association shopping complex in Computer Village, Ikeja, Lagos, aggrieved traders who lost their shops and goods have expressed deep frustration over the slow pace of court proceedings. The affected traders said the case they instituted against the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, and others have become a heavy financial, mental, and physical burden on them. Recorded very early hours of January 1, 2024, at least 4 bulldozers escorted by armed police officers entered the complex and carried out a demolition exercise that left shop owners shocked and devastated. According to the traders, the demolition was executed when many of the property owners have traveled for the end-of-year holidays. The traders, who said they had lost valuables worth millions of naira, described the act as an injustice that forced them to seek legal redress. Ahead of the demolition, the Nigerian Police Force, through its spokesperson Olumuyiwa Adejobi, had insisted the exercise would proceed, saying it was imperative to clarify that the complex was officially allocated to the wives and relatives of police officers. But nearly 2 years later, the traders told newsmen that justice had not been served. The Minister of Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nyesom Wike, has attributed the disruption of water supply in Abuja City and some satellite towns to the ongoing major rehabilitation of 2 water treatment plants. Wike disclosed this in a statement issued by Senior Special Assistant on Public Communications and Social Media, Larry Olayinka, in Abuja. He said that the treatment plants were among the 4 facilities responsible for the production of supply of water to FCT residents. The minister said that due to the ongoing rehabilitation of the plants, water supply from the 2 functioning treatment plants will be rationed for 2 weeks. The minister called on residents to bear with the FCT administration, assuring that the rehabilitation, when completed, would improve water supply in the FCT. He, however, said that the 2 plants undergoing rehabilitation will be temporarily powered to supply water to residents during Salah celebrations. Wike said that the Water Board have made a rationing timetable for alternative between lines 1 and 2 of the distribution network. This, according to him, will minimize the adverse effect of inadequate water supply to FCT residents. You are currently listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We will take a short break. When we return, we head into a news analysis segment. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. This is the World News at 12 right here on the Voice of People 90.3. Here with me is Mr. Peter Nosik. He's a political and current affairs analyst. Thank you for joining us on the news today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So let's start with the flood situation in Nigeria. We know the situation with climate change. Several nations in the world have been coming together to rectify these issues. Now, in Nigeria, we have our own peculiar climate issue, which is flood. And one would be expecting that after what happened last year and 2 years ago, the federal government, in collaboration with state government, would have put in place modalities to make sure the effect of this flooding are being reduced to the barest minimum. What do you think?
Well, for me, in other countries of the world, people are always one in advance. There are prone areas that people always want between so and so time, this thing will happen. So it's either that the people are evacuated or maybe temporary apartment built for them. So when it comes, the damage wouldn't be so much. But here in Nigeria, we don't have such facilities. And God knows that we cannot handle disasters.
Definitely.
Sure, God knows that. So, because if what is happening in other parts of the world, Spain, America, happened in Nigeria, everybody would die. So he gave us just a little.
Definitely, which is just flood.
I understand me. So, but we don't even know how to handle it, because I heard that Nimet warned about this.
Which was why I took the time to read those Nimet stories, so people will prepare.
Which is a good thing, but in Nigeria, we are not always proactive. Rather, we are reactionary. It's only when something happens that we will start
running helter-skelter.
But it's unfortunate that it happened, and I commiserate with the families that must have lost loved ones, even though it's unavoidable. It's avoidable.
Quite avoidable.
Understand me? So, and but my concern is, why hasn't the president visited Niger State? Understand? Why hadn't the president gone there to show physical support? This is over 150 people that died. And the president is in Abuja.
And the deaths will keep climbing up.
Understand me? So it's unfortunate, because his presence will have made a difference. In the United States, if something happened and the state cannot handle it, the president sends federal emergency
representatives,
that's to go and that's it. But in Nigeria, lives are not valued. So I feel that Nigerians, this should serve as a kind of as a wake-up call. I remember what happened in Maiduguri some time ago. That about 200 people. That's when the dam opened. So
from Cameroon.
From Cameroon. So this is a time has come that we should try to be proactive in all this, and we should also be taking NIMET serious. Once they give a warning, we should start preparing against it, instead of say it's just one of those things.
Exactly.
Understand me?
So now let's go to the next story, where at the weekend there was an auto crash involving some persons that were returning from the National Sports Festival from Kano State, and about 22 lives were lost. Now, there's a lot to unpack here. Now, according to preliminary information, we don't know the true cause of the accident yet. According to preliminary information, the driver may have been overspeeding. There were also insinuation that because of the long journey from where the sport festival was held, Abeokuta, they left the journey since Thursday. There may be fatigue involved. Now, we know the state of our road is terrible. And every year, the federal government keep earmarking lots and lots of money for rehabilitation of the road. Why do you think we're having issues with maintenance? Maintenance culture has been a problem in Nigeria, and it looks like this administration is, well, not better when it comes
to in Paris. He cancelled that and returned to Paris, and understand me. Now we don't
handle his domestic issues.
Understand? Now this is not even that's a star. The person that was stabbed is not that's a notable figure.
Even a known person, not a notable figure. Yeah.
But these are people who have gone to represent your own state. Understand? And 13 out of 36 is not a poor performance, which means these people represented you well. On their way back, they had an accident. I saw the bus. It was a coastal bus. Understand me? And you are still comfortable in Saudi Arabia. sending messages. You can see that we have leaders who have no empathy. We have leaders who have not empathy. I have heard that the families have been given 1 million naira. What will 1 million do for an athlete who is able to represent a state as Kano has 44 local governments? So imagine for you to emerge from such a very big state, you must be something exceptional. And these are people that have died, and the governor is comfortable in Saudi Arabia, believing that what he is doing there is more important than the life of 22 athletes from his own state. So for me, the governor's action is highly unpatriotic.
Now, let's also talk about monitoring on the highway. We know we can't stop road accidents. It's a world thing. It happens everywhere. But there are government policies that can reduce this road accident to the embarrassment. For example, road monitoring. The FRC, where we're there, because these are some of the things. When you see a bus over speeding, it's your job to flag that bus or that car. But most times what we see them do is, stop, tainted cars.
But FRC had issued an order that if you are driving a commercial vehicle, you must not go beyond 100 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, but they have to be there to make sure it is enforced. They have to be there to make sure, because we are human beings, but there's a tendency for us to obey law. Just like police stop crime. These agencies are there to make sure there is proper compliance on the road.
They are regulatory bodies. And okay, now the issue is this: when you are carrying such people, the driver should understand that these are many families represented in his vehicle. Yes. And even those in the vehicle, maybe they were having fun in the vehicle, understand me, as a youth. Understand? So the laws are there. What is missing is implementation.
Exactly. And that is why they are there, to make sure those laws are being implemented. And it's not just a federal government thing. I think even we as a people, we also have a role. For example, you're in a bus and the driver is over speeding. It is your job as the passenger to make sure the driver
that he complies.
Exactly.
So you cannot just hold your hand and allow him to no, that is wrong. And when this thing happened, now that thing happened on Saturday, today, you see FRC and other people on the road. Meanwhile, the damage had been done already.
Let's go to the next topic, which is Natasha to appear in court on Tuesday. Now, there is something strange going on here. There's a situation between lawmakers, Natasha Akpoti-Aduaghan, who is a lawmaker, against the Senate president. The question is, why is the federal government suing Natasha? What is the federal government's business between issues going on between two lawmakers in the House?
Well, federal government don't have much to do. Understand me?
As far as I'm concerned, they have nothing to. They have nothing. They have no skin in this game.
Even ordinarily, they are not busy. Our federal government is not busy. So that's why they are meddling in affairs that do not concern them. Defamatory, scandal, and libel is between two individuals.
Exactly.
Understand me? So because they are idle, reneging on their promises, that's why they should be meddling in things that do not concern them. And again, defamation is not a criminal offense. Natasha is a lawyer. So, as a lawyer, she should know what defamation is. I'm sure that he is going there to defend herself. But the curious thing is the involvement of federal government.
This particular one that's coming up tomorrow, Tuesday, is someone from the federal government.
What is their business in this? Understand me? What is their... Akpabio is an individual. He has no immunity. So he can be sued. And Akpabio can also sue. So it is Akpabio...
Which has already happened, because Akpabio has also countersued her. So
so the issue is this: what is the business of federal government in personal issues? Understand me? So for me, I don't know what they are looking for, but they don't care about their reputation. They don't care about their image. That's why they are getting involved in tribal issues.
Now, some people have alleged misogyny in this case, because Natasha, she's a woman. Do you think that they are right to think there's misogyny at play here and sexism?
Well, in Nigeria it is. In Nigeria it is, and that is why in other countries of the world, they have achieved their 35% affirmative action, now working towards the 50-50 equality. But in Nigeria, you can see out of 109 senators, we only have 4 women. We only have 4 women. And the 4 women are even being used as second-hand citizens. They are not given that freedom. Some senators still feel that the female senators are the same thing with their with their wives at home. So they've not developed this consciousness to recognize women as their equal.
They're not used to having a woman having a voice, and for the first time they're seeing a woman challenging them. It's like everyone is surprised.
What is happening? That's what is happening. But at the end of the day, one, they are sending a wrong message to the female folks, because a woman who wants to aspire for the Senate tomorrow, seeing what is happening to Natasha may decide to withdraw her ambition. Understand? Which is not good.
And it's also not a good message to the outside world for a country like Nigeria.
I say this country don't bother about their image or their reputation.
Now, another huge question is, Natasha is from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, right? What are the other PDP senators doing to support her? Because it looks like she's on her own here.
She's on her own because the Senate is a court, and you are either in or out. If you are in, you benefit from what is there. If you are out, then you are a victim. So all of them are fighting individual wars, personal wars. Mind you, Senator Ningi was of the PDP. So APC senators don't commit any offense. Understand me? It's only those in the opposition that commit offense.
But the opposition party, they are quite large. It's not, I mean, the APC is more, yes. But together, they have the numbers to put on a strong opposition. So why aren't they doing that?
I say it is a court. Understand? It is a court. And if you are not in the good book of the powers that be, you become a victim of a lot of things. Understand me? Which include removing you from the committees that you are in. Understand me? Making you an ordinary member, which means you will not be getting what others are getting in the Senate. So there, everybody is just careful. Everybody is careful. Nobody wants to become a victim of the president of the Senate.
And finally, the ECOWAS leaders, Femi Falana has accused ECOWAS leaders of failing to uphold the rule of law. And of course, he outlined some countries that have, failed to honor court proceedings in ECOWAS court. Do you think he's right?
No, we should start from the messenger. Femi Falana was once president of West African Bar Association.
Yes.
How many laws was he able to enforce? Okay. Because this is a toothless bulldog. ECOWAS court is a toothless bulldog. Understand me? They don't have any power of enforcement. And the final should know this.
But no democratic country, no judiciary in any democratic country have power enforcement. It is incumbent on the executive and the legislature to make sure they do the enforcement.
One, I'm talking of the ECOWAS court as it stands.
Yes,
they cannot,
I understand.
They cannot enforce anything. One, being a member of ECOWAS is voluntary.
Yes.
Understand? It is voluntary. Understand? That's why Mali and Niger and the other countries pulled out. Understand? Nobody compels you to be a member of ECOWAS. It is voluntary, and their judgment is also ceremonial.
Okay. But this is also a bigger problem of what is happening in individual country. Let's take Nigeria, for example.
No, excuse me. EU is like ECOWAS. They don't have any power of enforcement.
EU is more like African Union.
Yes, the same as
because ECOWAS is just a
sub-regional.
Yes, for West Africa. Yes.
So I say they cannot enforce anything.
I understand. But that's one of the, let's say, one of the loopholes of democracy, because Trump is also using that loophole seriously in the US, where the Supreme Court and judges, he is not respected, court order. It's a bigger democracy problem. Even in Nigeria, we see judges, make pronouncement, and there is no enforcement when it comes to the higher politicians, the executive, the legislations. Do you think that's something that needs to be worked on to make sure especially executives obey court orders?
Well,
because it is something we really need to talk, deeper.
The truth is that autocracy and fascism are being run that's in disguise as a democracy. Understand me? Even what Nigeria is operating as we speak is autocracy and never democracy, because the three arms of government are not separate. Understand? Our judiciary and the legislature are now extensions of the executive. So this is not democracy. This is autocracy. And that's what is happening everywhere. Understand? The judiciary, the assembly have been compromised. So the only arm of government that is working is the executive.
Well, that's quite sad.
And that's why even the checks and balances are no more working anywhere in the world.
Right. Okay, that's where we'll stop here for today. Thank you so much, Mr. Peter Nosik. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
He's a political and social analyst. To our international scene now. Poland's National Electoral Commission has declared nationalist Karol Nawrocki the winner of the presidential election. With all votes counted, the commission said on Monday that Nawrocki, a staunch conservative backed by the opposition, had won 50.89% of the vote in a tight runoff race against the liberal Warsaw Mayor Rafał Trzaskowski, who took 49.11%. The results will complicate the centrist government's rule in the increasingly prominent European Union state, given Nawrocki's pledge to use the presidential veto to block Prime Minister Donald Tusk's reforms and be welcomed by right-wing forces in Europe and the United States. Nawrocki, aged 42, a historian and amateur boxer who ran a National Remembrance Institute, campaigned on populist promises to ensure economic and social policies favored or opposed over other nationalities, including refugees from neighboring Ukraine. An early exit poll released on Sunday evening has suggested Trzaskowski was headed to victory before updated polling began to reverse the picture a couple of hours later. Nawrocki was succeed Andre Duda, also aligned with the Nationalist Conservative Law and Justice PRS, whose second and final term ends on August 6. Duda has been holding up the coalition government efforts to reverse the changes politicizing the judicial system that were introduced by PRS during its 2015 to 23 term in office, which plunged Poland into a fight with the EU over the rule of law. Tusk has also struggled to meet other electoral promises, such as the implementation of reforms to ease access to abortion and improve LGBTQ rights. And finally, on the sports news, the Pyramids of Egypt survived late pressure to beat Mamelodi Sundowns of South Africa 2-1 in Cairo on Sunday and win the CAF Champions League for the first time. Competing in the Premier Africa Club competition for only the second time, Pyramids triumphed 3-2 on aggregate after the first leg was drawn 1-1 in Pretoria last weekend. Fiston Mayele scored after 23 minutes and Ahmed Sami on 56 minutes for the Egyptian outfit before Ikram Renas reduced the arrears in the 75th minute. Listless for much of the match, Sundowns pressed in the closing stages, but the second goal that would have given them overall victory and away goals proved elusive. Plays by Pyramids, who normally attract crowds of just a few thousand for support, led to their 30,000 seat stadium being about half full for the second leg. And just before we go, here again are the top stories. Mokwa flood death toll rises to 153 as more bodies recovered, Nsema confirms. Kano declares Monday public holiday to mourn athletes killed in auto crash. Natasha to appear in court Tuesday. ECOWAS leaders have failed to uphold rule of law, Falana says. Naval Chief Ogala seeks increased manpower and says 30,000 officers not enough to battle oil theft. On the foreign scene, nationalist Navrosky wins Polish presidential election. And in sport, Egypt's Pyramids FC beat Sundowns to win CAF Champions League. And that's the news at 12. My name is Solomon Ofem. Do follow our social media handles at VOP903FM. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at VOP903FM.